All right, pals. So today I'm chatting to all my pals who don't have much time to work on their own content, which, hi, I'm at the front of the line here. So many of y'all and so many other just business owners that I know, when you have your thing that you're doing to make money, sales, whatever, and so often our own content just gets put on the back burner. Like, hi, been there, done that. I am there in some areas. But the reality is, if you're not creating content consistently for your business and you're not creating great content consistently, then you're not going to be moving the needle forward like you really want to. So this is for my peeps who only have 3 hours per week for a podcast and a blog, because obviously I'm a fan of both. So I have broken down my exact workflow for y'all to help you know like how much time this should actually take. All right. This is definitely an episode that you're going to want to take notes on. And for the record, this workflow is included in my signature course, the Organic Marketing Framework. But even if you never purchased that, just implementing these steps into your workflow will really, really help you create more content consistently, and not just more content, but quality content as well. All right, y'all, we're going to jump on in. Hey there, fellow entrepreneur. Welcome to Simple SEO and Marketing with me, Faith Hannon. Do you want to grow your business with organic marketing and finally feel like you can understand SEO? Are you scouring the internet for how to get more website traffic, SEO for dummies, and how to market on Pinterest? Have you tried to grow your business with SEO and blogging only to get frustrated and quit because it's overwhelming and too time consuming? Been there. Hey, I'm Faith Hannon, Jesus lover, copywriter, blogger, wife, wrangler of tiny humans, and barrel racer. And let me tell you, I didn't have time to waste sorting through SEO and keyword strategies that either didn't work or were so over my head I couldn't understand them. I honestly thought that SEO and blogging only worked for people with a PhD in tech jargon and a whole team of employees, until I learned these secrets. Good SEO strategies don't have to be complicated, and creating and marketing great content doesn't have to take more than a couple hours a week total. So pop in those earbuds, slam some coffee, and let's grow your business with simple organic marketing and a healthy dose of biblical encouragement along the way. Okay, y'all, before I jump into this step-by-step situation I got for you today, I wanted to tell you this. So I am going to go down to 1 episode a week for the rest of November, and then while I'm on maternity leave, because quite frankly, I want to spend my maternity leave prep time spending more time with my babies, not less. So I have a bunch of really awesome content planned out for y'all and recorded for when I'm on maternity leave. But I want to just kind of savor this season with 2 babies while I finish growing the 3rd one and prepare to welcome him. So we're going down to 1 episode per week. It is still going to be super tactical, practical, like do this, click here kind of stuff, because I want you to have actionable tips. I don't want to just fill your earbuds full of a bunch of fluff while I'm on maternity leave. But you know what? I really wanted to practice what I preach and put my family first. And so this week marks the first week of 1 episode per week. Make sure that you are subscribed and that you're also getting emails from me, because I often give additional tips in emails, and also am always telling stories on myself, usually. So make sure that you are still connected so that you can keep learning and I can keep serving you that way. All right, now let's jump into today's content, which is all about how to get it done, how to get the podcast and blog done if you really don't have very much time during your week, because time management or lack of time is a whole thing, right? Like we all know, time is our most valuable asset. And to be real with y'all, time management is something that I have had to work on really, really hard. Like, it is not my strong suit. When Nate and I first got married, he has always had to leave for work sooner than I did, even when I was working outside the home. And I would just like watch him at all. I'm like, how do you get out the door so quickly? And he's like, because I do the same thing, the exact same thing in the same order every day. And I just stared at him. I was like, what is that like? I don't know. Because that's not how my brain works naturally. And I still don't do that, right? Like, he has his, like, exactly like him. He has his gifts and his strengths, and I have mine. But I say all that to say that time management is something that I have just worked so hard on, because one, I want to be faithful with the time that I have. And two, I have goals. And if I'm not, really intentional with how I spend my time, I'm not going to reach those goals, right? So even before the days of social media, honestly, or before I was on social media very much, I could get lost in a good book for hours and completely lose track of time. Or growing up, I would be at rodeos and just be so involved in what I was doing and socializing and having so much fun that I would legit forget to eat. Like, this is a thing, right? Like, time management is a thing that I've had to work on. But several years into business now, and having the most profitable year I've ever had in my business, I've figured out a few things, all right? And I have gotten down to where I know exactly how long things are supposed to take, and I can plan out my workflow pretty darn accurately each week and each month. So, step number 1 to getting your podcast and blog done, if you only have a few hours a week, step number 1 is you have to batch plan. You have to. You cannot waste brain space coming up with content on the fly and expecting that to align with your bigger goals and strategies for your business. You have to batch plan. Now, some people will plan out their content for a year. God bless them. I can't do that. For one thing, I like to analyze and see what's working and see what's serving people the best. Like, if I create a podcast series on XYZ and it completely tanks, I'm like, oh, well, that's not serving my people. What is serving my people? Like, what are they listening to? What blogs are they reading, right? Like, I don't like to be like a year out in my content. 1 to 2 months is really the sweet spot for me in my business. And maybe, as I have been have even more years under my belt, maybe that will change. And maybe for you, exactly what your audience responds to, what resonates with them, and you can plan 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 months in advance. But the point is, you have to batch plan. Why? Because when you sit down and you get in that zone and you've got your brain thinking about planning content, it's going to flow so much easier and be you're going to plan better because your brain is in that. Some people call it a flow state. I call it headspace, whatever, same difference. I actually have an entire episode number 26 on different ways to batch, because that practice alone can truly revolutionize your time management in your business. But step number 1 is you've got a batch plan, because you've got to know where you are going. Number 2, I want you to outline and record your podcast if you are a verbal processor over a written processor, because how you process is going to determine the order in which you complete your blog and your podcast. If you're somebody that you have to write all of the things down, then you're going to probably do your blog or the bulk of your blog first. If you are somebody that you process better orally, then you're going to complete your podcast first. Now, if y'all are new here, you might not know, but I'm a huge fan of Steph Gass's programs about how to start and grow a podcast. I have an affiliate link for you. If you are like, hey, I want to know how to start a podcast, then I want you to jump into Steph's course, Podcast Pro University. If you have a podcast and you're like, hey, I want to know how to grow this podcast, then I want you to check out Podcast to Profit, where Steph teaches how to truly grow your podcast using some really amazing strategies. I've been through both of those. Loved them. Now, we're back at, are you doing your podcast or your blog first, right? Just, you need to know if you're a verbal processor or you process better writing things down. But regardless of whether you're going to do the bulk of your blog first or the bulk of your podcast first, please, for the love of all things holy, outline your podcast and or outline your blog, right? You need to know where you're going. I have done multiple episodes about content creation, how to write better content, and I've talked about how you really do need to outline. Even if you have been writing for 500 years, you still need to outline. All of your English teachers and everybody consuming your content will thank you. Now, for me, I record my podcast before I blog. I process verbally and in writing, but just for my workflow and my brain, recording the podcast works better. So that's how I'm going to walk through this, right? So I outline and record my podcast, and that takes me like 30 minutes max, okay? Because I've batch planned, right? I know where I'm going. And so I've allowed my brain to like mull over and come up with ideas. And this is stuff that I'm doing in real life with client work. So it's not like I'm, having to fully invent the wheel, right? Like I've already drove the cart and I know how all the wheels work before I come and create content around that. So I've got my podcast outline recorded, and the recording part of my podcast takes about 30 minutes max. Okay. And then I upload that podcast and I write out my show notes. I've already got the bulk of that done, the notes, the bulk of that done, including all the links as part of my podcast to blog template. I talked about templates pretty extensively in episode 136 and 137. But if you are not already using templates in your business, in your content creation, please start. You're working way too hard if you're reinventing the wheel every time. But so I've got my show notes, the bulk of which is done because of my templates. And then I'm going to upload that. That takes 5 minutes. Okay. Then I schedule it out. All right. Then step number 3 is I'm going to take that outline that I wrote for my podcast and I'm going to beef that outline up into a blog. In my dream world, I will do this immediately after I create the podcast because all of that stuff is fresh on my mind and I'm able to just kind of type out things that came out verbally while I was recording the podcast. But I'm going to take that outline and I'm going to beef it up into a blog. So this takes 30 minutes, maybe an hour max. But really, like if it's taking you longer than an hour, cut yourself off. It should not take you that much longer to just write the content, okay, for the thing that you're already doing. Next step number 4 is I'm going to do my keyword research. Now in episode number 143, I talk about the backwards way that I do keyword research and why I do it that way. It's very backwards from the way a lot of SEOs recommend doing keyword research, but I find that it works really well and that it works really well for lots of my clients and students and helps create content that flows better, sounds better, and just feels more genuine. Okay. So my keyword research, 10 minutes max. Ubersuggest is the tool of choice that I use. Love it, love it, love it. And then I'm going to take all of that content and I'm going to upload it to a WordPress blog. WordPress and Show It are married for blogging purposes. And so I'm just going to literally copy and paste that stuff into my WordPress. Now, this takes about 30 minutes by the time I link things and optimize things and do my H2s and H3s, how I like to do them. And I'm going to take that keyword that I have picked after I've created the content, and I'm going to revamp my content to be optimized for that keyword phrase. And this right here is a good place to take a break if you have to take a break, if you cannot sit and do the whole thing at once. But if you can finish out the next few steps, great. If not, that's okay too. So then I'm going to move into my Pinterest graphic creation. So I, of course, have templates for this as well. But yes, I do believe in Pinterest. I think it's a great tool, not like the number one tool for every business, but it's a great platform to kind of shore up your content strategy and just get your content out in front of more eyeballs without a heap ton more work. So then I'm going to move over into Canva and do my Pinterest graphic creation. To be real, I'm kind of revamping some of this a little bit myself and tweaking and testing some things. But then my Pinterest graphic creation takes about 30 minutes. So then I'm going to add graphics to my blog after that, which that's like a 5-10 minute deal. And then I'm going to pause and I'm going to come back the next day because I truly believe that we all need to edit with fresh eyes. If you have somebody on your team that can edit your content and proofread your content for you, do it, because we all have this tendency to read what we think we wrote, not what we actually wrote when we're proofing our own content. But even if you don't have somebody to proofread your content for you, taking that 1 day break and allowing yourself to look at your content with fresh eyes will do wonders for your proofreading. I do use Grammarly, the paid version, love that, but I still need to proof with fresh eyes. If I absolutely cannot take a day break, then I'm going to take like an hour break and go do something else. Okay. Let myself come down off that content, think about something else, and then come back to it with fresher eyes. So then I'm going to publish, right? Probably the next day after I've proofread. And then I'm going to do my Pinterest Tailwind strategy and put all that good Pinterest content onto Tailwind and let Tailwind do the work for me. And then I'm going to create my email. Now I batch out my email content as well. And so sometimes this is already done because I know what I'm going to talk about. And so I've already come up with the additional value add that goes into my content roundup email. Okay. So then I've got my email done. I'm going to get that scheduled out. And then if you're sharing social media, go ahead and share. But really, y'all, that's it. That's it. 3 hours per week for a podcast and a blog, and not just like a thrown up podcast or thrown up blog, just so you have something like good, strategized, keyword rich podcasts and blogs that are going to move the needle forward for your business. Because if it's not doing anybody any good, like why waste your time? All right. If y'all have any questions about how this works, or you just want to see it played out, I have this within the Organic Marketing Framework, my signature course for you. You can go snag that over at faithhannon.com/framework. Read all about it. There are even payment plans available because I just want to make y'all's journey easier, more streamlined, and more better than mine. All right, y'all, we will chat with you guys next week. Until then, just be blessed. I'm so honored that I get to speak into y'all's lives and love on you and help encourage you in your business. And I just pray that this, really step-by-step plan and what I have learned the hard way is able to take, bless y'all and make your business growth journey much more streamlined. All right, y'all. Talk to you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening in today. Hopefully this episode gave you some really tangible tips for better SEO and marketing to get more leads and more sales from your website. If it did, can I ask you a quick favor? Would you please share this episode with a friend and then just take 10 seconds and go leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. That is the very best way to help more Jesus-loving entrepreneurs scale their businesses so that they can help more people with their gifts and make an even bigger impact for the kingdom of God. And guess what? We now have a Facebook community where we can learn, hang out, and laugh. Go join the Facebook group now. It's linked in the show notes. And all the other things, courses, coaching, and copywriting can be found at my website, faithhannon.com. Until next time, God bless, and I'll talk to you soon.